Oh, we are so back, guys. So if you know me and you know my channel, you'll know that me talking about the game Road 96 isn't anything new. That became my hyperfixation since I played it in September of 2021 when it came out. What autism does to motherfucker. And I've talked about its sequel game, Mile Zero, and I'm actually playing Title tomorrow, which I plan to upload like a long play of that. My recording might be a little bit ass, unfortunately. It runs a bit slow on my computer, but I mean, like, it's still fun to play, so however I get that finished and however it turns out, I hope you guys enjoy it. But on the subject of today's video, Road 96, there has been a new release from Digixart, and that being a teaser for a possible upcoming sequel. And I've already seen the teaser yesterday when it released. It's currently the 8th of the... You're gonna hear me stutter. I'm going off the cuff here. I'm not, like, reading off a script. It's the 8th as I'm recording this. They uploaded it yesterday on the 7th. In this video, I wanted to go over that teaser, and I also wanted to go over expectations for the game, or for the sequel specifically. I wanted to go over why I think they're making this game, and my personal hopes and wants for the game, and what I plan to do on this channel after that game releases. So, very simple structure overall. So let's go ahead and take a gander at the teaser itself. And as I'm recording this, I'll hopefully make sure it lines up correctly. You'll see that it's called Unannounced Digixart Studio Project Teaser. And I don't know how long it's been going on like this on YouTube, but they have like when it's multiple channels, they'll have like, they'll list both of them. It's THQ Nordic, which they have helped work on Tides of Tomorrow. And then it's Digixart, so I'm expecting a massive budget increase, based on the sales from like the last game and all that. And you can kind of tell with how the game looks so far based off of the visuals. I want to say it's pretty, like the past trailers are pretty accurate to the in-game models, like the cinematics and whatnot. So we'll just see what happens. First off, this would clearly be John's truck at a first glance, since he's the only character that had that type of like truck. You see the little funny numbers, hee hee. And then not much else to go off of. The sticky notes are just ineligible. But it was like that with the first game anyways. So let's go ahead and look at this video. We'll play it in full and then I'll talk about it more.
John, do you hear me? Over. John, please! Do you call me?
Fanny? Is that really you? Are you alive?
Yes, John. Yes, we are. Over.
Alright, so that was like a pretty short teaser. I'm talking like 28 seconds. So there's a obviously it's a short teaser. There's kind of good amount to check in. How do you do frame by frame? Anyways, I'll just like go a little bit. So obviously we see that it's John and Fanny, and because of like what John asks, it's clearly Fanny's talking or referring to both she and Alex, I were to assume. And you can kind of hear at this point there's someone in the background that's saying please help, and one of my friends made a Tumblr post and talked about on the server too, Digixart's official server, that it's possibly Alex. It's kind of hard to discern because the audio cuts in and out a little bit. So with that in mind, we can see how the graphics look, still stylized, but immensely better. Which Road 96 is already a beautiful game, so that's already, like, impressive. And we see this house that's on fire. And it, along with Fanny's despair and John's surprise, it sets up a very harrowing start of this game, especially with the ending tagline, "Get back on the road." So it doesn't give us a release date or release time frame. If we were to go onto Digixart's account on YouTube, you'll see that with Road 96, it came out 5 years ago, and it looks like there was a gap. There's like a relative gap within their games of like 2 to 3 years, which fairly tracks. It's actually a pretty good gap, I would say. You see with Road 90, you see that with Lost in Harmony, and then you see that with 1111, Memories Retold, and then you see that with Road 96, Mile Zero, which came out in 2023, 2 years after Road 96. At the same time, they were also working on Tides of Tomorrow. You can actually see a little bit of a teaser in the Mile Zero game area, like this logo appears in game. And then 2 years ago, we had the reveal trailer, and then we didn't hear anything until just this year, and then it released this year, in April, after a brief postponement of I think a few months. And I'm really enjoying the game so far, and now I'm really surprised we even got a teaser. I'm surprised we even have a chance at a sequel at all. So that's crazy. That's already crazy. There's no other posts on their accounts, on Twitter or Steam, elaborating more. It's just the teaser, and then announcing the teaser oh, it looks familiar, or it might look familiar to some of you guys. So we're not going to be getting anything for a good minute. I'll use supplemental footage, by the way, after showing that trailer. One of the devs said on the Discord server that there's gonna be a possible Q&A towards the end of the month, which I'm gonna link the reveal teaser, and then it will have the Discord server in that video description on to join it. I'm definitely gonna be asking questions myself, but as of right now, we're just left in the dark with that one teaser. So going on to my next point of the video, I think the general expectations, let me go over narrative speaking wise. Road 96 has 3 possible endings: the revolution ending, the voting ending, and the fleeing ending. It's more like abstinence ending. But the revolution ending they all can have variations. There's variations where Zoe lives, but then she dies fighting in the revolution, or the player can die in her place. There's also where she can die instead of Alex if he chooses to join, and that can happen if Fanny and John were more radicalized in their extremes that they're a part of. John gets killed and Fanny might have to witness Alex dying or him not dying. When John dies, that's when Alex will join the fight. And the player can either flee the country or join the fight. John, Fanny, and Alex can leave the country in the endings where they're not as radicalized. And that's pretty much the major differences. Based off this trailer, it shows that there's a more intense degree and that everything's just going wrong. So I'm kind of expecting the endings that we get in Road 96 to not exactly matter. I'm speaking as someone that is a Telltale fan and has also lived through the time where Walking Dead Season 2 ended and then Walking Dead Season 3 began, and the unsavory reactions to how the endings were handled. And, there's a lot of nuanced factors like how Telltale handled their IPs. There's also just game development to account for, and budget and everything. So I'm not saying that they just wouldn't make the choices matter in the last game. It's possible for them to still have that agency matter, but I'm also tempering my expectations to where whatever event happens in this Road 96 sequel, it is drastically impacting more of the story than our choices in the last game. Because otherwise the tagline, "Get back on the road," wouldn't make as much sense if everything was going right in the country of Petria. Nevertheless, I'm still intrigued. I was hopeful that, or I was hoping that it would end off nicely, based on the route that I mainly choose for in the first game, which is the voting ending and everything just turning out as well as it can turn out. But that leads me to my next point of this video, where I'm wondering, why is this game being made? And, excluding money reasons, Road 96 is they're gonna be their golden child, I fear. As much as ambitious Tides of Tomorrow is with how they worked on that and how they were actually able to fulfill their goal of making a procedural generated game based off traveling to islands. They talked about that in the Road 96 documentary, but this one is just, Road 96 is going to be probably the IP they're going to be most known for, which is good and bad, because hopefully they still branch out to other games. Ignoring the budget, money reasons and all that, the world outside of our little internet bubble, our little world that we live in, the world outside, even when you don't factor the country, the US, there are other parts of the world that are just going through hardships, and Digixart has definitely explored more environmentalism than they had with politics. Maybe they did. I'm assuming they did that with 11/11 because it's a war story. But arguably, they focus more on environmentalism storytelling than they do political influences. With that being said, Road 96 itself has the underlying themes of environmentalism, and more so is the uses politics to tell its story, which I think works pretty well. And if I go back to play Road 96, I haven't in a while, but if I go back to play Road 96 or Morale Zero, nothing about it has aged whatsoever. And even assuming that everything was right in the world, that doesn't mean that it wasn't like that before, because it's not, the Digixart isn't taking influences solely from the US. They had influences of the Berlin Wall. You see the North Korean, USSR influences, along with just the border control in Mexico or in other countries. You see the melting pot of influences and global issues and problems in that game. It's just mostly associated with the US because of its desert landscape and Johan's influence when taking a road trip in the US or having those memories of road trip movies. That's where a lot of the visual influences come from. With that being said, I think Road 96 just has a more story to tell with how the world is right now. I'm just going off of my assumptions. It's to me, when Suzanne Collins, I think, said one time that she wouldn't make another Hunger Games book unless she had something important to say. And then she came out with, I forget which book it was, because I don't read the Hunger Games that much, but clearly it was a dig on how the world is right now, and how it was back then, a few years ago, within its political climate and all that. So, in a way, I see this upcoming game as a cathartic release no matter what, and a commentary on how the world is right now still. And hopefully, I'm hoping it really ends on a positive note of encouraging change and, fighting against the system, whatever may have you. My whole point being is that I think besides money reasons, I think there is legitimate reason to have a sequel to Road 96. And I'm someone that wasn't really expecting one. I thought at most we just get a book again. But after Mile Zero, I was I don't think I need another game. So the fact that we are getting another one is going to be very interesting and fun. I won't even lie. So I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. So, with that said, let's go on to my general hopes for the game. So we're going to for sure see John, Fanny, and Alex. I would hope that we get to see Zoe and Kaito, and then see Stan, Mitch, and Sonia, and then Jared. I would like to see how all of their stories would go. But on that note, I don't think there's a lot you can do with Stan, Mitch, Sonia, and Jared. Starting with Stan and Mitch, their whole goal in the first game was to protect Sonia from Jared trying to assassinate her, and that gets resolved when the 15 crosses. And unless Sonia stops being a GNM reporter and stays with her brothers more, there's not much you can do with her unless we see the growth of her leaving GNN. I just don't think it would make sense for her to keep following in Tyrak's shadow. just based on how she was gonna get more close with her brothers. I see her probably like going more like the anarchist route that her, or like the apolitical route her brothers have. And unless her brothers were trying to protect her from people that are against Hyrac and hated those figures, I think there's not much you can do with Sonya otherwise. And that also means you can't really do much with Jared either, because there's no reason for him to be going after Sonya. And unless Robert somehow lived... Robert, when I fucking get you... I'm sorry. I'm sorry, little demon possessed me over there. I hate Robert. There isn't much you can do with Jared because he has no qualms with Sonya. And he was mostly concerned over Robert because of the direct influence he had over Lola when she was alive in 86. So, unless Robert was alive, and I think it's like a double-edged sword, because you would see Jared, you would see Robert continually acting as a force of nature, which, you know, I do enjoy him as an antagonist in Mile Zero and in Road 96, because that's what I would see him as. But I also would feel bad because, I mean, Jared didn't have like an immense growth, but based on seeing the ending picture where he's like on the beach and all that, it would feel a little bit upsetting to see him regress. Not like unnatural, because, you know, people regress all the time to their old habits and ways, but it would just be upsetting me. And then this is all coming as like a Jared fan, unfortunately. I just like, however they deal with that, we'll just see how that goes. I definitely think there's more of a story to tell between John, Fanny, and Alex, and then also within Zoe and hopefully Kaito. Kaito, in the prequel About a Girl book, he can either escape from being transferred to the pits or he can die, I believe. So I would like to see whether he does make it out. And same with Zoe, if the route where she is alive is the lore correct one. And this is also depending on if this art will make their choices matter in this next game. Either way, I'm not setting that expectation that they're going to follow every line of coding like that to a T. So apart from that, I'm actually wondering if we will be either playing as a teen or as one of the cast members from the first game, or from, you know, Mile Zero, like Kaito. Because in Road 96, when you're playing as a teen, you're not playing as like a defined character, you're just yourself, witnessing the other characters going through change. And for Mile Zero, it's you either playing as Zoe or as Kaito. And I personally liked seeing the perspective of Kaito and Zoe and them going through their arcs based on what we choose as the player. And a part of me would like to see that with this sequel game. If we don't, then we don't. It all just kind of depends what direction they decide to go with that. I wouldn't be disappointed either way, but I think it's just fun to think about the possibilities if they're going to go the teen trying to cross or achieve a goal, or if we're going to be playing as those influential characters. And on the topic of characters again, a part of me hopes there's a few more to the lineup. I wouldn't want it to detract from the original characters' narratives, of course. I wouldn't want it to feel like bloated. Maybe just some more side characters in general to see like the various archetypes that that are possible to see within a world like Petria. Just overall, and with that, it would be nice to see more of the Petria's environments. I just think that's the natural progression that they could do. I definitely would like to see more towns like how they did with White Sands. I mean, it still feels kind of barren because it's just like a rich neighborhood and all that. But like, you know, in the background of Road 96, like in certain areas, you would just see glimpses of towns just out of reach or further out. And I would just like to see more of that and how it is within the world of Petria, because you just see like singular locations, maybe some more traveling methods, however it works. It also depends whether the story is going to be procedurally generated again, like how Road 96 was, or if it's going to follow a more linear structure like Mile Zero. I would think it would expand on the procedural generated aspect more. But, you know, that really depends on what happens. And I guess there's not a lot that I'm hoping for anyways. Like I said, I wasn't even expecting a sequel, so I don't know what else I'd be hoping for. I'm sure, like, as we get more info, I'll realize I'll have more wants than I thought. On to my last point of what I'm going to do once the game comes out, besides flip a shit. And it also depends when the game comes out. I would think, based off of Digixart's habits that you see in like on their YouTube channel, I think we could easily be looking at a 2027, like a late 2027 release or a 2028 release. I think either of those are possible, but if it takes longer, it takes longer. It wouldn't matter to me either way. We'll probably get more info as the year goes along, which is not a lot time left in the year, but I'm sure we'll get more. When that QA is done, I'll probably make a video about it or share some of the questions on a community post. Maybe just the video, because that way more people can access it and see it if they aren't part of the Discord server. But when the game comes out, I will be waiting some time before I do any big videos, like analysis videos, because obviously we want to play the game myself, and hopefully I would get to a chance to stream that game, because I want to be able to record my real-time reactions. On my channel, you'll see that I have videos of the character audio files, and I didn't upload them until like a year after the game, I think, came out for Road 96 and then Road 96 Mile Zero. That's what I would follow when the game comes out, because A, I want to be able to experience all possibilities myself naturally, and B, I want to make sure that nobody is spoiled about the game that early on, and C, it would take a long time to do. Hopefully I'd have a better computer or laptop or whatever by then. I mean, I'll still make them, it just won't be immediate, and we'll see what long analysis essay video the next game spawns. And I think that's pretty much it. We'll just have to see how the updates for the game goes along. If you guys would like to leave a comment talking about your thoughts about the upcoming game and what your expectations are, your theories, or what you're hoping for personally, I would love to read them and have all of us engage with that. I would love to keep the discussion of Road 96 going and showing that we definitely do want this game and we are excited for it. I'll be seated way too early for it. And that's pretty much it. I will see you all in my other projects. Thank you for watching.